shiny toy syndrome is bad. Focus on core fundamentals that'll make an impact to your bottom line, but still keep an eye on the future. Still keep an eye on what is changing and keeping up to date so that you are ready for changes to be made, but your fundamentals are still there that help to grow and impact your P&L and your bottom line and your business goals. Hello, I'm Anthony Barone, and this is SEO in 2026.
Anthony, what's your number one SEO tip for 2026?
My number one SEO tip for 2026 is AI, GEO, LLMEO is all the rage, but core fundamental SEO principles still apply.
Okay, so there's obviously some impact to AI at the moment, but you're talking about not taking an SEO's eye off the shiny, the most important things happening with the shiny toy syndrome. So, I mean, to begin with, I mean, what do you see SEOs looking at and what's distracting them and what isn't worth their while spending time on at the moment in relation to AI?
Yeah, I think SEOs, a lot of them are just jumping on the bandwagon, which I get. Like a lot of ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, all of these want Manus. All these ones are coming in. And yes, some behaviors are changing. We've got AI mode coming in. We'll have web guides coming in. I get it. But what we still want to do from an SEO, but also from a business perspective is core SEO fundamentals still apply. You want to be able to crawl before you can sprint. And I think with shiny toy syndrome and everyone wanting to be the latest and greatest and wanting to jump on the trends, they're forgetting that those SEO principles still apply because they just need to be at the top. But when you dive a bit deeper, how much impact is AI actually having on the bottom line? How much traffic is actually coming from AI? And I think we're getting a bit of recency bias there where it's like, I got a lead from ChatGPT, so now we need to put all our effort and focus into that. And it's like, well, take a step back there, sunshine. There's still core fundamentals that are related to SEO to do while keeping an eye on SEO and the changes that are happening there.
But you mentioned AI mode, of course, as well, and that's something radical that could be happening to Google for most users. And is that not going to seriously impact the way that the user interacts with the SERP? And if so, does the SEO not have to adopt to actually make sure that they're appearing there?
Yeah, it will impact, but those fundamentals are still technical SEO, are still content. The AI mode, it's just that the way that information is going to be served is going to be different. But Google's still going to have to crawl your website. Google's still going to have to read your content. Google's still going to want to understand your authority, your brand play. They still want to understand that. It's just instead of those 10 blue links, they may go away. It's going to be a bit more conversational. It's going to be a bit more zero click. Okay, how can we get into, we've seen AI overviews, we've seen all this stuff. I think web guide will be an interesting play, but the way they consume information might be different, or the way they show information might be different, but you still got to do your best to make it as easy as possible for these platforms to crawl your website, understand your content, make them pick you basically, which is still optimizing for search at the end of the day.
Should optimizing for AI be based upon industry? Are there certain industries that you see that are able to harness the power of AI a lot more than other industries? And, are certain verticals, in other words, the user is much more likely to actually search a more conventional search engine?
100%. So to be honest, e-com is where we're seeing AI like take a bit of an uptick because people are doing a lot of product reviews, or they're trying to find information, or they're trying to understand the key features, or what's, trying to collate information in a sort of conversational way. So we're seeing like with ChatGPT, people are using for gathering information and product reviews, product comparisons, really getting a niche tailored answer rather than just putting a keyword into Google. They can maybe go to ChatGPT or eventually AI mode web guide to be like X product for X sort of specific purpose. They will then get a more tailored sort of approach. So e-com, we're seeing a lot more product pages get shown. There's ChatGPT shopping, and no doubt Google will be working on more and more things to push more ads or push more opportunities to sell on that. But yeah, e-com, we're seeing a lot more of that. Don't really do too much in medical, but a little bit that I've seen is like those AI overviews are getting dangerous when it comes to medical and those types of EAT type topics. So I think some industries might not be getting as much on the AI, like AI overviews and getting shown up on that. You might be getting a bit more traditional search on that. But in my experience and what we're dealing with so far, e-com, and the intent behind those searches is product comparisons, product reviews. Are people having a good time? Is this product any good? What's the reputation of it? Is this the right fit of a product for my certain situation? So that's what we're seeing from my experiences, e-com. It's changing that.
Okay, so how does an SEO actually analyze their market to determine whether or not they should be spending time and efforts on understanding AI search?
Well, to be honest, everyone's trying to sell a tool right now. Everyone's trying to sell an AI tool, AI visibility tool. So, maybe it's a dot-com bubble and we'll see who actually wins at the end of the day. To be honest, I still like to use the good old tools of Google Search Console, actually see the numbers. What is the data that you've got? If you've got a Shopify site, how much money are you making through the site? What's currently happening? Again, I know with a lot of changes in data over the last 4 or 5 years, it's not as good as it once was, but we need something. So being able to look at user tools to understand your technical health of the site and fix that up. But if you're an e-com, where's the transactions? What's the average order value? How much are you spending on paid ads? How much are you spending on SEO? What are you spending on socials? And then trying to attribute what comes from the website versus what you're spending on that front. On the AI front, what we did in Australia over about, I think it was about 80 e-com clients. So Studio Hawk Australia, it's got about 400 clients. Took a subset of those 80 clients, mostly all e-com, looking at, all right, how much are you actually making for ChatGPT versus Google and Bing? And out of those 80, it was about 12,000 Aussie dollars. So it wasn't that much from current clients that our GM in Australia actually researched on that. So compared to Google, Google and Bing, which is bringing in all the other cash. So I think it's a bit of a battle now where we can't really track AI that well. GA4 and other tools, okay, no, GA4 isn't everybody's best friend right now. It hasn't been everybody's best friend since it came in. So this is a hard part for marketers, for SEOs, for brands and businesses to try and just get a source of truth on this. And it's hard. I would say it's hard.
But you're talking about source of truth from a data perspective, and surely it's quite challenging to actually reliably measure the impact of content appearing on platforms like ChatGPT, because people are interacting with content a lot more there as opposed to within the website itself. It's the top of funnel content. They're experiencing something for the first time. They're making a decision potentially to use a brand and then doing a brand search, coming to a website or buying directly through some third-party site. But if there's so much data missing, or it's hard to actually determine the value of something, when you were talking to clients and they were saying there was this $12,000 value in referrals from ChatGPT, how were they measuring that?
So the way they looked at it was basically looking at GA4 and getting referral traffic, but there wasn't much to go on. So what the whole point of it was to be like, hey, shiny toy, calm down for a second. You're still getting all your cash and a lot of your transactions from traditional search engines. So the whole point of it was to be like, hey, keep an eye on AI. We can try and track it as best we can through Looker Studio and trying to use certain tools. I'm like, okay, but the whole point of it was like, just slow your roll, focus on what's actually bringing you money. Yes, we can keep an eye on as best we can with AI, but don't throw everything out just to pivot the whole strategy to then go to full AI. I'm more of a conservative type where it's like, we'll keep an eye on it, keep following, keep reading, keep seeing what Google's coming out with, keep seeing what some of the best in the business, like Later, I know has just done a recent survey, and Mark Williams Cook and some of the best ones out there, keeping an eye on them and going, all right, what's going on? But at the moment, it is hard, and it's hard for us as SEOs versus I can't imagine what some of the clients are feeling like when it's just a bit frazzled. Where do I even go? How do I track it? I don't want to miss out. I just want to jump in, and I'm getting, I got my first lead from ChatGPT. Awesome. I want to try and get more of that because it's exciting. It's fun. It's new. I get it. But coming back to the fundamentals of numbers, coming back to the fundamentals of what actually impacts the P&L for these businesses. And at the moment, it's still traditional search engines.
Absolutely, and I obviously mentioned AI modes on Google earlier on, but that essentially powered by Gemini is powered by the standard Google search results to a certain degree, and a lot of conventional AI, as you prefer to actually encourage SEOs to focus on, powers that. So what are the core, maybe bring it back to the core elements of successful SEO? Has that changed at all over the last few years, or are there key elements that you would like to highlight that are absolutely essential for 2026?
I think for 2026, you still want to focus on the fundamentals. So like, you're obviously going to focus on traffic. I know clicks will go down, but impressions are going up because of AI mode and all the other tools. So you want to it's brain visibility or search everywhere optimization, as I think Jerry White's calling it. So being able to be omnipresent. Now that is much more an e-com thing in my experience, because e-com have to be everywhere all at once. There are so many ways for people to consume content and try and find their product on socials, on SEO, on paid ads, on out of home, all of that. So with e-com, I see more of that sort of thing. But for an e-com, it should be revenue, transactions, traffic, and overall visibility. Now, overall visibility, all right, let's throw in traffic, let's throw in impressions, let's throw in brand mentions, branded traffic. That's why I always defer to Google Search Console from a search perspective. But this is where it is a holistic marketing approach now. SEO is not in a silo. You're looking at social, you're looking at email marketing, you're looking at how it all can work together. So from an e-com perspective, money, revenue, yes. From a B2B perspective, well, usually it's going to be, I need a contact form, I want an email, I want to book a demo for a SaaS. Is the website doing the job to be able to book those demos, and how are we going to get the website to do that? SEO. Those fundamental things should still apply, because that directly correlates to business goals. Like, hey, unless you've got a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you just want to spend cash on vanity metrics, well then good luck to you. But in the real world, people need outcomes. People want to improve their P&L. People want to have their website, their socials, their email marketing actually tie back to either money or building up to a bigger thing, which is brand awareness, knowing that as they build their brand, as they build their reputation, they can then do more and more things.
You mentioned brands and traffic quite a few times there. Obviously, the challenge with brand uplift and getting a lot of brand searches is you don't necessarily know where that awareness of who the brand is and why that brand was searched for. So how do you go about establishing where the initial source of awareness of the brand came from? I mean, do you ask customers, or are there some newer ways of tracking visits across different types of platforms, so you know what impact different platforms had?
I'm still an old bit of goodie on Google, but I'm sure there'd be somebody out there creating brand visibility tools and things like that. I think from the clients, when we're dealing with clients, because we just do SEO, when we're dealing with clients, we try and understand what they're doing for other channels, but what do they actually care about? So for an e-commerce, for example, have they done any out of home? Are they dealing with influencers? Are they doing socials? Because then they might have done a massive TV ad, and then organic spikes. I can't really claim that, because they've built a brand on other channels, which also then feeds into SEO and feeds into their website. So look, to be honest, I'm pretty sure there's some tools out there, but how we'll do it with clients is being close to them, having constant communication, trying to understand what they're doing for other channels and then what they're doing for brand. And then either from an SEO perspective, how can we help them either take advantage of, they're doing press releases, they're doing this, they're doing that, cool. And then usually we're using GA4 or we're using Search Console to see impressions, branded impressions go up. And then we can talk to the client and go, all right, this is an interesting spike. What happened here? Oh, hey, and ideally they tell you this before because they're prepared and they tell you ahead of time. Oh, we actually just got X celebrity in and they did a massive shoot at the Super Bowl. Oh, okay, brand awareness, brand visibility gone up. So for us as an agency, we're trying to build stronger communication to understand what brand stuff that they're doing and then how SEO can fit into that for them.
What about the question the other way around? Is there any SEO activity that worked well 5 years ago now that you wouldn't recommend in 2026?
For me, I'm oldie but a goodie. It'd just be stop just pumping out content. Stop just pumping out useless content. But people still do that because AI, and they'll continue to do that because it's easy. Depending on who you ask, and I'm pretty sure you'll have interviewed some of these people, I'm of the white hat variety. So not doing the black hat stuff and not creating fake author bios and fake things like that. That's just me. But if you ask some of the people who I'm pretty sure you've interviewed, they'll also have some other opinions on that front. What else 5 years ago? Like, I think getting caught, the usual stuff is like your meta descriptions and little bits and pieces that won't really move the needle, things like that. Some of the stuff they're doing 5 years ago that you wouldn't be doing next year is just the vanity, usually the vanity technical SEO stuff that won't really move the needle, stuff that clients don't really understand, stuff that if you're running a SEO campaign, probably either shouldn't be done because it's not relevant or would be done when you've got nothing else to do. So if you really dive deeper into a site audit, what people used to do is really big up some of these issues because the client didn't understand what they were and then think it was really, really bad. But in actual fact, it's nothing. That's in my experience is don't big up and waste time on a lot of technical SEO, things that just won't really move the needle. Don't pump out a bunch of article spun content, but I say that living in ChatGPT world. Yeah, I'm boring on that front. Sorry, David. I'm boring. We've always done things. Well, we've always tried to do things the right way. So I don't have any experience doing anything.
No, that's good. I liked your point about not doing the fake author bios, because that's obviously more important now with AI search, looking for the ultimate source of truth and understanding which authority that they can trust. And if you're spinning out fake author bios, then you're not giving any trust in relation to your content. So probably reducing the chances of ranking because of that.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just, it goes back to EAT from like 7 years ago, but now with so much stuff just getting spun up, Google and these search engines are dying to try and find out more truth because they want to serve their users the best answer. They don't want to serve, and we've seen already with AI overviews making mistakes. And that's a Google problem, but we want to be able to, I presume, Google and these search engines would still want to, and their why is to provide the best search to provide the best answer to someone's query, showcasing your authority, shouting out about how good you are, shouting out about why someone should use you, just like you would in real life when you're going out networking and talking to people about XYZ. Google's just trying to find that same information. And yeah, you know what? It probably has worked in the past. And if you ask some of the black hats, that dodgy stuff might still work. But for us, I'm always of the opinion is do it right from the start, and you're giving yourself less chance for problems to happen. And building that author bio, building that content, building that authority, regardless of SEO, you're a trusted source. There's a reason why this team probably went for like £100 once upon the brand that's on it. But the t-shirt is actually just a t-shirt. It's that brand place, that authority, it's that story, it's that, that impression and thought that people have about your brand and Google's just trying to get that same, as best they can, trying to get that same impression as to who you are, what you do, what your business is all about, I think.
Anthony, what's the key takeaway from the tip you shared today?
Key takeaway is shiny toy syndrome is bad. Focus on core fundamentals that'll make an impact to your bottom line, but still keep an eye on the future. Still keep an eye on what is changing and keeping up to date so that you are ready for changes to be made, but your fundamentals are still there that help to grow and impact your P&L and your bottom line and your business goals.
Anthony Barone is Studio Hawk co-founder and managing director. Find out more over at studiohawk.co.uk. Anthony, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2026.
Thank you very much, David. Always a pleasure.
I've been your host, David Bain. Get your copy of SEO in 2026, the book, over at SEOin2026.com.